to these objective takes.
Yeah, going into the draft, and I do want to talk about like lane-to-lane matchups as well. We talked a little bit about the gold lane matchup, the EXP lane matchup, the jungle matchup. Right now, the mid lanes, UA and Spew, they have similar playstyles. They like these artillery mages.
You know, I find it so funny because unfortunately, if we're talking about the punching bags of Aurora, it's usually Edward, it's usually like Renegade, and then Falcons. For some reason, it's always Few.
It is.
He just keeps taking hits, and somehow I don't know what kind of crazy luck he has, but he sets up for the team for the big turnarounds.
He has a contract with the devil.
He's got some kind of contract with the kids. I'm saying Aurora has got to keep rolling the dice against him.
I mean, he was the messiah, right? That's how they beat on it.
Yes, sir.
Esports, you know, he sacrificed himself to win the whole thing. You can't really say Flap's the one that takes punches because he literally has a Paquito skin, you know, named after him. Fanny, Fanny Yi banned by RORA. We got Matilda, Granger, and Dusin banned by Team Falcons. So Moskov, Suyo, right? Big ticket picks. And if you look at Demon Kai, I think that Suyo is going to be the most important pick right now.
I don't know. Harith is looking real juicy right now.
I do agree with Husky though. Both of these two junglers, their priority is on that Suyo, but take the Suyo, give the opponents the Joy, or you want to prioritize the Joy first, because Joy has much more mobility compared to Suyo all around that map. You have double dashes as well. It will be that Suyo. It's a Demon Kite signature pick all throughout the Challenge Finals group stage.
I don't think... do I necessarily agree with it? It's a little hard, right? Because Team Falcons, they're taking away enablers of the... In this trifecta matchup of Joy, Suyo, and as well as Alpha. We haven't seen Alpha a lot these days, but Team Falcons, they're like... It's still a possibility, right? We've seen Demon Kai play it for basically, what, a season and a half at some point, and they got rid of the Matilda. They're also getting rid of the Granger, which I think is pretty interesting, right? It does kind of give an idea that Team Falcons want to actually bet on Super Marco into being as consistent as he is, and Domenkai eventually dropping the ball somewhere. So they can go Joy into the Harith if they want to, but instead, yes! They go for the Badang.
I do like this a lot more. I remember all of us had this small discussion about if I have the Joy, do I want to show the Harith immediately? Because that is a lot of magic damage, right? Leo says if you see Joy Harith, just buy Athena on everyone, right? And the mage is going to do magic damage anyways. But this opens up the Moskov for Domain, and we know he has been really leading into the Moskov whenever Harith and Granger are not available.
It really
I don't know. I think Team Falcons are fixing go for a Hayabusa instead because a lot of damage, lots of mobility. I think does pretty well in this. You got a standard Moskov Harith matchup as well. Taking up that high loss will be a detriment to Team Falcons team fights in the early game. Whoa!
He's finally here. He is finally here, dude.
Yeah,
making a resurgence.
Making a resurgence. I love it. I love the way both teams are drafting right now because it's not about just picking up the nuclear option every single time. It's taking away the launch codes, making sure the keys are in different places, taking away enablers. Now we go into the second phase and they're already banning out the Jawhead. They're prioritizing anybody who is able to follow up, if not punish heroes who unfortunately don't have that sort of disengage. Like Badang, for an example. He'll lose a battle spell if Jawhead is still around. Even Alpha. Now that Matilda is gone, there's not a lot of ways to say, I want to back out of a fight.
Yeah, and even... And on top of that, there's no high-lows, right? So you don't have that red carpet, the glorious pathway to keep you safe. Aurora and Falcons, they both have the flex, you know, in the high-lows at Badang, but so far, just off a track record, Team Falcons have been putting Badang on Flap TZ, so maybe that's something that Aurora can bet on. In fact, you talk about the punching bag of Team Falcons, Aurora are starting to take away his heroes. No Farsa for this game.
So it might be Edward on the high loss in EXP side. Not sure if you want to play it that way, but I do want to say the Alpha pick is really good. A lot of teams forget that Alpha is the natural counter for high loss. Because high loss naturally has that passive where it reduces your attack speed, but Alpha doesn't care about that one bit. He's got true damage. He's got spells all the way through.
I'm curious to see because I feel like as of right now, there's just no real reason to have Hilda on either side. I feel like a little bit more inclination for Team Falcons, but they're on red side and they get that final pick at the very end. They're most likely going to prioritize their mid lane and then see what Aurora has in the bag.
Yeah, I think Aurora right now have... Do you still ban mid laners or do you ban out a Roma, right? Like a Tigro or a Cho?
I think you get rid of the Gathon here.
Oh, they ban the CC.
I think you're thinking
could be an
Ogwen might be playing the Badang.
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Ogwen Badang, huh? I mean, Ogwen, again, we did see the Kufra early as one of the gotcha picks that he has.
I think that right now, there's just a lot of respect going for both sides. No like hard committal on anything just yet. More so, they just want to hold the keys. They want to see what their opponents are doing before they bring out the nuclear options. And I think the CC bet is okay, I suppose. But even when you're up against Badang, it's not the easiest matchup as well. Badang can technically space against the CC, and the most annoying part about it is that you can actually like cancel out a majority of her damage if you just keep locking her down time after time after time.
So they go for the Vexana for few. Vexana hasn't been looking too good, right? 11 picks, only 28% win rate in this entire SPS, at least from the challenge stage until now. RORA needs to review that mid lane and the flex. Go for the Edith, right? This is most likely going to be an advert Edith. It denied away from Team Falcons 2. What's the mid going to be? I mean, there's still Aurora.
There's Zaz.
There's Zaz, I mean, maybe not Valentina, unless you want just the Eternal Guard.
I think Valentina's alright.
We've been talking about this since day one.
Yeah, Gideon, this is one of your favorite picks.
No, not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of it. And here's why. Because again, I think that Aurora kind of doubled down on what their plan is going to be.
But it makes it feel locking down the Zaman Force from Harith, preventing the dash around.
I mean, sure, yeah, but you already have the Glorious Pathway to work with. You already have the Edith as well. You have a knockback coming in from the Moskov too. I feel like at this point, having the extra range is going to be great because a majority of the mid laners have insane range, right? They get rid of the Farsa, another artillery mage, the Loyi for these team fights. I was thinking maybe lean into maybe even a Farmus if necessary, but even when we're looking at the flexors from Team Falcons, it's just there's no point.
Yeah, but I think it makes a lot of sense. So it will be the Hilda getting picked up, but so it will be a Badang roam, then Hilda and EXP side.
It feels like that's the case, right?
It's been a long while. It's been a long while since we've seen the Hilda being played in Rome. So it will be Ogwin finally getting his hands onto that Badang. But back to your point about that Xavier, though. Team Falcons doesn't really have any backline entrance. No one to target straight to the backline, no jumpers, no backline engagers.
They just have to out-sustain it. They just have to out-sustain it and make sure that they play around few as main anchor of the composition.
So it seems like the whole story of this game one is between the unstoppable force of Team Falcons and the immovable object that is Aurora. Let's see as the Falcons will take on the Northern Lights in this first best of 3 and see who will take game number 1 as we head into the Land of Dawn.
All right, it's time. Our first best of 3 to shake things up here on day number 3 of the SPS. It's going to be a big one here. Both teams are at each other's throats already. History and bad blood between them. Aurora going to be playing on blue side up against Team Falcons here on the red side. Let's open up the Land of Dawn as we head right into the game.
Well, I was just caught off guard with the Badang graphic right there. W production. But it's so great to go back to basics. Alpha getting its resurgence and then finally seeing Xavier in this entire matchup. How fitting.
Quite foretelling, actually. Not easy. Early invade here. They figured out where Demon Kite is going to be on the map, which is great information for Team Falcons to make some smarter decisions here. Because again, I think a lot of it is going to come down to that mid lane, right? If we're looking at emblems, I'm hoping for Concussive Blast on Renegade. Yes, Renegade's got Concussive Blast, but it's going to be Brave Smite for Ogwin, so it's about freezing out the lane.
The beauty about this Hilda is that right now you're not a roaming trio, you're a roaming quartet. You bring the Hilda into the mix, Team Falcons are able to amp up or ramp up that tempo and go into the jungles of Aurora, making Suyo suffer just a little bit more before the first objective spawns up.
Well, I think the priority is so very important, right? Because in these team fights, I feel like Aurora has a bigger inclination of like just standing back, waiting for Team Falcons to make that first move because they don't have a lot of disengage tools, and as soon as those cooldowns are down, you lay the carpet, you start opening the gates, and you let the flood through.
RORA does have late game insurance in that Xavier though, so how he plays it will be a little bit interesting if it ever goes to that super late game mark. But this Xavier pick just denies the opportunity of an early game rotation, so RORA just really has to hunker down. You see Team Falcons already cycling up that turtle onward onto Baptiste. Will be able to escape safe and sound. He doesn't have that sprint anymore. Keltese will pick up that turtle. They will take what they can and they'll ditch out of the way.
Nicely done. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Priority. If you make that first move, you're able to sit on these objectives a little bit faster and then hold priority over your opponent. Now that we're holding this neutral objective, the inclination is on you to try and take the space from us. And I think that's how Team Falcons is going to be playing the rest of this game.
Ooh, look at how Team Falcons are playing, just living rent-free in RORA's jungle. FlapTZ down low, SOD hits. I don't know if they want to come in. Domain Kite just holding on to the SOD. Team Falcons know how much they are able to hammer Aurora at this point.
Look at the efficiency, right? While all of that was happening, living rent-free down on the bottom side, we see that Few isn't being that anchored. He quickly moves up to the top side of the map in case Domenkai decides to go for the big punish. You can see that both sides aren't really committing like huge ults. The most you saw was probably from Ogwin. Other than that, it's just been chill.
It's a very smart move by Team Falcons. You know they can take on a 3-on-4 in the early game just because of the high burst damage that Ogwin provides with that Badang. And you don't really need UA or Few to be in that position just because, okay, let's just protect Super Marco. Make sure that he wins the lane against Domain Kite. And that's the MO for Team Falcons at this point.
Well, if we're talking about the early game, the only ones who quote-unquote have some relevant damage here... Oh, wait. Carpet's going to be open. I don't think it's going to lead to much of a fight here, right? It's just for plating, and Super Marco doesn't mind just sticking nearby it just to farm whatever he can. But coming back to the conversation of the early game, the only ones who really have some form of, like, raw damage naturally is going to be Edward and as well as Demon Kai. Everybody else will require items. Obviously, there's Chip coming in from Renegade and his high base damages, but even so, that's on the assumption he lands the concussive blast on somebody useful.
We'll see as the turtle spawns up in the next 5 seconds. Is Ogwin making this roam Badang count, checking all of the bushes, pushing Aurora away from any skirmishes that are about to happen. KaoTZ will start things up.
Chilling for now. Lays the carpet. Tries to break Few's position here.
Renegade's all alone though. FlapTZ really down deep. They're chasing onto Renegade. Oh no! What has he gone to? The fish cart will keep him safe and locked down. Renegade goes down. Edward, Primal Form, with 3 members are on him. They will be chasing him. Alpha Blood. Wait! Edward finally goes down by the hands of Few. They're still going for it though. KaoTZ survived with a sliver, but not for long before UA takes him out with a Mystic Shot.
And this is the big problem I was talking about. The items necessary for Xavier to be relevant in these fights is just not there yet. That Dawning Light is great, but as you can see, still a lot of members who are low, not threatened by it at all, despite Edward's high early game damage, especially once he pops that Primal Wrath. It's a little sad though, because FlapTZ is just giving so much vision. That's why they're so decisive on their calls.
Very smart move by FlapTZ. Inside that base, he's got high damage, he's got a sprint, he's got escape mechanisms. He can live rent-free down on Aurora's jungle, keeping them at bay from the neutral objective. Renegade, though, no backup whatsoever, just taking on 1v4 on his own lonesome.
And now Team Falcons, utilizing their priority, utilizing their push and map control, want to slow down these rotations as much as they can. Try brush control coming out from Ogwin. Not to mention that every time he throws out one of those fists, it knocks you back and gives you a bit of a slow as well. So it's a little obnoxious to deal with, but thankfully he hasn't completed the Thunderbelt.
It's a very fast rotation. Edward already moving his way, making his way up, but on the bottom side, Demon Kite is all alone underneath the base. Here comes KaoTZ proxying that wave, and Demon Kite able to get out safe. FlapTZ won't want him to escape so easily. Here comes KaoTZ, the Spirit Alpha. Won't be able to hit him. One more hit will do it. As KaoTZ takes Demon Kite down, Edward a little bit too late for the re-engage.
It's a game of information. They spotted out Edward in the mid lane, in that middle of the rotation, thanks to Ogwin, as well as FlapTZ double reconfirming it on the bottom side jungle here. Feels like Team Falcons, they have opened up the map very, very well, and Aurora cannot do much about it for now. It's just a matter of scaling, just taking the punches, make sure you don't get knocked out before you have the Haymaker ready.
Ogwin's already 1 level ahead of Renegade. FlapTZ already has that onward. Ogwin there for backup, locking him down. KaoTZ picks up that turtle, and in the midst of it, carpet being laid down. Renegade's in the mix. KaoTZ going to the backline with Spirit Alpha. Super Marco takes out Domain Kite, but is all alone, taking out 2, 3 members from Aurora Falls. For what?
Very clean fight. I mean, yes, they have to contest it. There's just no choice. In this contention, they want to slow down this game. Obviously, they don't want to give 3 members over to to Team Falcons, but even so, the idea is correct. I think that Aurora, at this point, they're just going to have to take it, right? With mid-tier 1 open, Team Falcons are on a bit of a timer to kind of speed up this game. Sooner or later, this Hilda is going to lose relevancy. Sooner or later, Demon Kite is going to come to a point where you can actually out-sustain that raw damage. And for now, the setup needs to look good. As long as Team Falcons don't clump up too close together to get hit by an Earth Shatter or even fall down to the underneath the influence of the carpet, they should be all right.
Yeah, taking a look at the gold and EXP graph, Team Falcons already up ahead, 6,000 gold. Seeping through the late game. And we're talking about UA's Mystic Field, but hold on a second right here. Red carpet already laid out, but from that backside, Ogwen's left all alone. 5 members right on top of him with Eternal Guard, but it's not enough. Super Marco still staying under that bush, but it's a good trade-off by Aurora.
I don't know about that. Bot tier 1, is the life of Ogwen equivalent to a tier 2 down bot side? That's the real question. Personally for me, I don't think so, but Aurora will take anything at this point. T2s are always just pure economy. It doesn't really hold strategic value across the map. And for now, Team Falcons maintaining their 6.6k lead, and more importantly, Kyle having a very clear level lead against Demon Kite.
As the clock ticks down, UA's Dawning Light is going to start to hurt. I mean, he's almost taken out a chunk of damage off of Super Marco, but he needs more time. But now the engaged cavalry coming into the jungles yet again. Team Falcons not giving Aurora a chance to breathe.
Looking at the item list so far, where is Yue in that item list? Looks like he's trying to build up to an enchanted talisman. Hasn't even finished off T2 boots at this point. In comparison to Few, who's building very utility, sorry, not golden staff, but instead glowing wand, and has already finished the blood wings as well, just in case he does get collapsed on by Edward, or maybe accidentally walks into the Mystic Fields. That range can be quite deceptive. Yue, oh, not enchanted talisman. Instead, goes for the Wishing Lantern. He's going to start poking out his opponents early on.
Team Falcons going to start things up with the Lord Dance. Lord pushing and pulling over the side of Team Falcons. Concealed play by Ogwen, trying to find an angle. Slap TC latching onto Demon Kite. They've caught Renegade. Trapped, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Slap TC onto that backside. Edward's next in the call. But Team Falcons, they got what they can and they go. But the bottom line is Domain Kite on the offside of the map, taking control of that long lane.
A decisive decision coming in for Aurora. They're willing to sacrifice the Lord. They're willing to sacrifice Renegade. They just need their cores to come online as soon as possible. And honestly, Domenkai, he's not too far off the Trinity build. It's 10 minutes into the game. He is about 30 seconds late from actually picking it up on tempo, but it doesn't matter still because Falcons have quite an outstanding lead against them. At this point of time, let's see how many inhibitors Team Falcons are able to accomplish because the high ground is looking much better for Aurora.
Yeah. It's very, very desperate pathing, especially from Demon Kite. Look how deep he is. Lord marching down the bottom side, though. Laying down the glorious pathway just to slow everything down, but Renegade on the wrong side of the wall. Turret at half health, almost half. As Team Falcons, they touch and they go. Flapteezy trying to make a move, trying to bait them in. SOD lands, but I don't think they want to go in. Dawning Light for Shape Measure.
Trying to minimize the damage here. The Mystic Fields have trumped them out, and I think this is where Team Falcons are going to say no, despite Super Marco trying to show some presence, trying to bait out that fight against Aurora. They are not going to take the bait. Looking at the items, now we see Penetration Boots already built, and yes, this is a bit of desperation coming in from UA's side, but they're already pushing to their inhibitors. This is the best build that he can go for at this point of time, as Domeng has finally finished the Trinity.
It's a very disciplined play from especially Team Falcons. A lot of teams crumble under the pressure and the greed from charging underneath the turrets, sending their bodies, throwing their bodies, and just sacrificing themselves for kills to take down the turrets. But Team Falcons, they understand the phase of the game, and they understand that they just need to wait for the next lore. Just take it one step at a time.
It looks like Team Falcons have almost set up the checkmate angle, right? They just need the next lore. They're about to hit that 10k gold lead. They're currently at 9k at this stage of the game. Oh, sorry, 8.6. Close enough, close enough. But RORA, if they want to win this, they're going to need a huge Mystic Field coming in from UA with a follow-up Earth Shatter coming in from Edward, right? Demon Kai cannot enable his team at this point of time. If he goes in, he needs a guaranteed way to come out, and there's no guarantee without the Mystic Fields.
I don't know about you, but Aurora seems to be, this is their game plan all along. Just let them come in, let them start the engage because they have that Xavier, and we all know how Xavier is so deadly on the high ground. You've got decent wave clear, decent entrapment with the Mystic Field, and Team Falcons really have to throw themselves out and sacrifice themselves in order to get a kill when it comes down to the uber late game. Oh, hold on a second. Ogwin, the spot father, forced to use the flicker out of the way, stunned up by the wall, but here comes Super Marco, holding on to the Xavier Force. They know they don't want to take it, as Aurora backs out as well.
Oh boy, Synchro Fissure doing so much damage to Renegade, the tank. He's got no MR built on him. The most he has is a Gleaming Gem and as well as a Dominance Ice. No Athena Shields built just yet. And even Edward, despite having an Athena Shield, did get a pretty hard chunked there for at least 1/5 of his health. So that's the Athena Shield difference here. Now Team Falcons, this is the checkmate angle we were talking about, right? They want to get priority on these lanes. Ideally, they rush down the Lord, but Aurora is not going to make it easy.
Team Falcons starting things off. Laptizi on the backside, but it's Alpha. They're ditching that Lord. They took down Renegade. Xavier Force dancing around. Here comes Super Marco with the damage, but so much damage coming from Demon Kite. There was a huge play, but 4 members down. Aurora, they're starting to crumble. Laptizi takes care of Domain Kite. The rest of Team Falcons making a beeline towards the base.
Great decision making here. Flapteezy just keep Dolmang busy. The rest will go for the free inhibitor. They have the 10k gold lead that they were looking for, and the crystal is wide open.
10 seconds, Super Marco will be able to take this. Just destroying Aurora's hopes and dreams for making to the playoffs.
Woo-hoo-hoo, nicely done. Tactically perfect coming in from Falcons. This is what you can do with 3 lanes that hold priority. Aurora are going to have to relook at